this fight for our right to vote, that we're going to be lifting it up with a powerful nationwide National Day of Action in honor of the amazing former Congressman deceased John Lewis. We're going to have not a memorial, we're going to have a day of action where we get out there and do the democracy work. It's our kickoff, not just a one day. It is our kickoff for all the work we will do this year in Virginia, New Jersey, around this country where there are elections. We will also, it is a kickoff to everything we will be doing in 2026. Come on, folks. July 17th, mark it on your calendar now, because Carl Snowden and others were leaders, right, Carl, in the effort last year for John Lewis. But now, given this attack on our democracy, this attempt to replace it with an autocracy, with an oligarchy, with a, all plutocracy, all this nonsense to destroy democracy is even more important. Right,
right.
Carl?
You're absolutely right, Barbara. And we want people to go to tjcoalition.org, where they'll be able to get more information with regards to the National Day of Action, the John Lewis National Day of Action. And, Carl, one of the things that we certainly wanted to lift up, and I certainly want to provide Ms. Omowale the opportunity to tell people how to contribute to the San Antonio African American Community Archive and Museum, so they can, continue their battle for private funding and for their existence. But prior to that, Carl, one of the questions I wanted to ask you is that, we see the response of what's coming from this administration, that they seem, really bent on suppressing and erasing American history. And we're talking about, what the community can do for itself, not what the government should be doing for the community. That's not relieving the government of that responsibility, but it's talking about what the community should be doing. Could you lift up the efforts that you've taken for the community to be able to register its own history, as Ms. Omowale was talking about? And if you could tie into that, what we should be holding our elected officials to in that process.
Carl?
Carl, you with us? You're on mute?
Oh, okay.
All right. All right. So,
no, I'm
Mitchell, are you there?
I'm right here.
Okay.
You hear me?
What should we be? What should we be asking our elected officials to do, Senator, with regards to preserving our history and funding museums and funding those efforts?
And it doesn't take much. What I was able to do was to go to the then governor running, and we were able to get capital money to establish the Lily Mae Carroll Jackson Civil Rights Museum, because it takes to try to raise money privately takes a lot of effort. The state has the resources, and since we as Americans of African descent are part and parcel of the history and the building of this country, therefore all tax money should be used to preserve our history, which is part of the American history. And therefore I employ my fellow colleagues to go to the executive of of the state of Maryland. We have a Governor Westmore who is committed to doing the right thing, and he is receptive to putting money in these kinds of facilities. I'm most interested in what is happening in San Antonio, because that can be replicated around the country. We now have their black elected officials throughout this country. So go to your individual executives and get them, whether it be on a city level or a state level, take that money out of the public treasury to help these facilities preserve and protect our history. Because you got to remember, our history is always going to be under assault, because it threatens those who want to hold back progress and those who want to keep people oppressed. And they are in abundance now, as you see those who simply willy-nilly went along with voting for Trump to make him president of the United States of America. We're the laughing stock of the world. And more importantly, this won't last, though. if we get busy and start registering people to vote, we will be able to have a decisive change in the midterm elections and really make a difference as we move forward. So I would say, as my uncle parents used to say, harder yet may be the fight, often wrong may yield to might. Wickedness a while we string, sentence scales may seem to change, but
Hello?
Excuse me, I got to get. Someone interrupted me, but as he said, harder yet may be the fight. Often wrong may yield to might. Wickedness a while may reign. Satan's cause may seem to gain. There's a God above who rules with power and heart of love. And if you're right, he'll fight your battle, and we shall have full freedom someday.
Amen. Amen. Because God fights our battles, and we have to be. But they always say that man has to do what's the natural. God does the supernatural. So let's talk, Doctor. Let's talk again back about SACAM. Ms. Jarmon, tell us. As the question was posed to you, how can people contribute to your museum? How can they follow the great work you're doing? I can't wait to get back to be there when you have your official opening of the new facility. But how do we help to get you there through contributions and support?
Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Daryl. And thank you, Senator, and Carl, still on the phone. So you can go to SACAM, that's SAACAM.org. And if you can't remember that, if you just type in San Antonio African American Museum, it will come up. And we have a donate button. It's that simple. You can donate one time. You can be a recurring donor. You won't be in the dark. We send out a newsletter at least monthly with a lot of good information, including history. We will send out things during the month. You can also follow us on our social media, on our website. We want to know how we can support you. So please go to SACAM.org, and no amount is too small. We do have a $50 million campaign, and I want to go back and answer or just piggyback on something Senator Mitchell said.
Yes, go ahead.
We started with one county commissioner who identifies as Afro-Mexican. You got to hear me now. Who said, this will not do. Our current space is 715 square feet, but we have over 120,000 items that we have collected and digitized.
Wow.
That's not even counting our physical collection. So Commissioner Clay Flores said, this is not going to do. I want you all to find a building, and I'm going to commit to getting money from the county. So,
Amber? Yeah, I'm here. Thank you.
How we were able to get started. We purchased a department store, Crest Department Store and the Grant Department Store, from a developer who decided at COVID they wanted to pull out. They had already done a lot of the infrastructure. What's interesting about these two stores, remember, we couldn't try on clothes there because this is the South. We couldn't try on shoes there. We couldn't eat at the lunch counter. But when we finally could eat at the lunch counter, they were the first stores that opened to us as African descendants here in San Antonio. So Commissioner Clay Flores got us $5 million from the county. Then the city of San Antonio, our council and mayor said we'll match it. So we were able to purchase the building because they don't want a building downtown that's now vacant. A vacant building is a deteriorating building, and it's an eyesore. So that's how we were able to purchase the building. Now we're raising the money for the construction of the museum inside the building.
And this time, Barbara, just seems to go by so fast.
Yes, it does. I tell you.
Closing moments, but I don't think Ms. Omowale could have put it any better than talking about if you want to be on the wall, own the wall. That's what SACAM did, and that's what they've demonstrated. So we so appreciate that. We encourage people to go to SAACAM.org and contribute to SACAM and that movement. Carl, are you still with us?
Yes.
Okay, if you could quickly, like in 30 seconds, give a quick closing and inviting people out and telling them about May 28th.
Thank you, Daryl. First, thank you and Barbara for the work that you do and continue to do. You really are a shining example of what it takes to bring democracy to America. On May 28th, Wednesday, May 28th, we're going to have a ceremony in Annapolis. It's open to the public. Following the ceremony, there'll be a reception. And we encourage people to come down and to pay respect to the late Congressman Perrin Mitchell, who made such a difference in Maryland and in the nation. And I thank you for this opportunity.
Sure. Thank you so much, Carl. Senator Mitchell, we have 30 seconds for you, sir, to talk about, because this is your uncle, Uncle Perrin Mitchell, and this whole movement with regards to preserving African-American history. I know that you want to bring the 30 seconds from the Mitchell family about why people should be there and what people need to be charged up to do at this moment.
You should, as the old person, bring Lottie, Dottie, and everybody there on May the 28th, because it'll be living history. And you'll be able to witness the efforts where we are preserving our history. To know that Congressman Perrin James Mitchell, the youngest of 10 children, born in a little alley, Stockton Alley off of Pennsylvania Avenue in Baltimore, could rise to become chair of the Congressional Black Caucus and be a confidant of various presidents. And more importantly, laid the groundwork by law for the empowerment of our community economically by he is known as the godfather of the Small Business Administration, an 8A program allowing blacks to participate in government contracts. As you see that, just as much as become a multi-billionaire simply by getting money from the government, we just want to be able to become millionaires by getting money from the government. But it was Perrin Mitchell who put that in law, and that law has not been able to be challenged by various Republicans. And more importantly, so be there May the 28th in Annapolis for the dedication of this monument to one of God's special vessels, Perrin James Mitchell.
Thank you. Daryl,
so much,
the phone.
Senator.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Senator Mitchell. Folks, you've heard it all today, and you heard it, and you heard it, and you'll hear it again. Get off the sidewalks, get into the streets, get involved, contribute to SACAM, get out to the Perrin J. Mitchell Memorial in Annapolis on May the 28th, and mark your calendar for July the 17th for the National John Lewis Day of Action. TJCoalition.org to get information on the National John Lewis Day of Action. Folks, we appreciate all of our guests with us, Dr. Kay Whitehead, Carl Snowden, former State Senator Michael Bowen Mitchell, and Deborah Omowale Jarmon from the San Antonio African American Community Archive and Museum. Until next Tuesday, noon Eastern Standard Time, peace, everybody.
Peace, everybody.
The preceding program was paid for by Barbara Arnwine.
Roxanne Watson is on a mission.
Hello, how are you doing today?
She wants more people to register as organ, eye, and tissue donors.
Are you an organ donor?
Yes, I am.
Yay. My goal is to sign up the most people in the United States.
What drives her? Roxanne's own life was saved through the gift of a heart transplant, made possible by an organ donor.
I decided that day that I was going to devote myself to the cause of organ donation and signing people up and honoring my donor by doing that.
Now she's back to
News Talk 1450 and 95.9 WOL with the Carl Nelson Show. Weekdays from 6 to 10 a.m. Reverend Al Sharpton keeping it real from 1 to 4 p.m. And the Tavis Smiley Show from 4 to 7 p.m. Download our mobile app and take us everywhere you are or listen live at WOLDCnews.com. The news and issues that matter to you most from Carl Nelson, Reverend Al Sharpton, and Tavis Smiley on 1450 and 95.9 WOL. 1450 WOL, Washington, D.C. 95.9 W240DJ, WMMJ HD3, WDCJ FM HD3, and worldwide at WOLDCnews.com.
The views and opinions of the following show do not necessarily reflect